Let's talk about shadow work. So shadow work is basically taking all of the unhealed versions of ourselves, the triggers, the emotions like anger, shame, resentment, judgment. It's taking a better look at them and mapping back to ourselves. So an example, if I'm passing judgment, and I do sometimes, my ego is still very much involved as I'm growing on my journey, right? But I catch it more. The thing is that you're building this awareness. And so if I'm projecting judgment out to someone, I often come back to myself and say, where do I feel judged? And whether I'm being judged by somebody, or it taps deeper into some insecurity, right? Of not being, being seen and making videos and, talking about this stuff on a self-guided healing journey. And so that's what shadow work is. It's basically coming back and noticing and having an awareness of your triggers, and it takes you from projecting your unhealed wounds out into the world, out onto family or partners or whatever. It takes that away and it brings you back home so that you sit with yourself and you think about, again, tracing back judgment. Second grade, I felt, this is an example, but in second grade, I felt judged by whatever situation. And so you can heal those aspects of yourself by letting go of that grudge that's being held in your body with so-and-so from second grade, and letting it go. And even in this life, it's all in this lifetime for shadow work. But even if it's somebody that you don't want to let go of because you have so much anger toward them, all you're doing is giving your energy away and feeding that, and you're damaging your body by holding on to these emotions, because these emotions live in the body, and anger is usually stored in the liver. And so a lot of people that have developed cancer, if they trace back in their body, they're holding on to a lot of anger. And so that's ultimately what shadow work is. It's taking a deeper reflection of yourself and letting go. And you're not letting go for that person. You're letting go for yourself, because you're telling your body you are no longer going to hold on to this energy. What's the point of holding on to something that happened in second grade, or even a year ago, or even 30 minutes ago, even though that takes a little time? But what's the point in holding that into your nervous system? And so basically what you're doing as you start doing shadow work, you're allowing your nervous systems to start relaxing. And the more that it relaxes, the more that it has this free flow of energy, and the more that you are no longer holding and living in this mindset. And we make people miserable around us when we're like this, because we don't realize that we're projecting all of our unhealed selves out on other people. But the thing is, for the ones who have done the work, it makes it very hard now to be around other people who are still unhealed. And the thing is, you cannot help people. They have to do that themselves. And so if people aren't, what we can do is set boundaries. And that's what I'm feeling in my life. It's like, you really have to set boundaries, or you don't need to be around those people all the time if they're negative. You don't need to be around, you don't need to participate in things. You don't need to take the shit that somebody is giving you because of they're projecting off of their own unhealed wounds. You don't have to take that. And so that's the hard part, is that we have to set boundaries, but not everyone is aware that they're holding on to this kind of stuff in their nervous system. And we're not taught that there's this whole mind-body connection, right? The body, we forget all about the vehicle that we are utilizing, that we're living in, that to have this human experience. We forget all about it, and we don't know how to treat it or communicate with it. And so that's what we're learning through this self-guided healing journey. We're ultimately resetting our nervous system from the sympathetic fight or flight into the parasympathetic, the vagal nervous system, where we're in relax, rest, and restore. And so that's what we're doing. And it is a holistic, spiritual, and psychological approach, basically. But that's a little bit about shadow work. I hope that made sense.